Happy New Year, my name is Mark Stannard and welcome to Little Green Man. And with the new year comes a new look for the show. Cheesy green screen. Excuse me. And of course, a new format. Every 2 weeks I'll be producing a full show that will be about 30 minutes long, give or take. And on off weeks I'll be posting a clip or two on current events. The things that have got under my skin, that kind of thing, you know. Or put another way, things that piss me off and I really feel the need to actually vent about. Anyhow, sit back and relax and enjoy the new format show and of course the new animation intro.
Little aliens, positively sure I'm absolutely mad about something. Oh, I'm positively sure I'm absolutely crazy too.
Hi, my name is Mark Stallard. Welcome to Little Green Man. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the free market. Now, proponents of capitalism love the free market. And they love corporations because they're the best thing for the economy. A free market can mean lower prices, but it's a simple concept. Competition means lower prices because lower prices attract customers. And when prices go down, well, that's a good thing for consumers like me and you. And because of this free market, prices are going down all the time, aren't they? Our lives are just getting better and better and better, and they're amazing. Except, well, they're not, are they? And they're not going to, it seems. I mean, look at inflation. And free markets cause companies to be super efficient and to create goods and services as cheaply as possible. And if that lower cost was passed on to the consumers, then wouldn't we have noticed that? Instead, everything is getting more expensive. Since the end of the Second World War, inflation has skyrocketed. So where are the benefits of the free market? Well, competition can be good. Of course it can, but there comes a time when competition produces winners. The losers either die or get swallowed up by the winners. Then the 2 or 3 companies actually left stop competing. Collusion, perhaps? But that would be illegal, and corporations and rich people that own them never do anything illegal. Bullshit. Sorry about that. Something in my throat. Or they actually get the laws changed to remove regulations, so any illegal action becomes legal. Maybe they're just watching what each other are doing and matching prices. Think of it as non-communicating collusion. Still collusion, where everyone silently smiles and nods as they put the price as high as they dare. And if the competition matches those prices, then everything is good, isn't it? As long as they're making a profit, who cares if it is a virtual monopoly? Well, our political leaders don't. And that leads me to a personal example of this. Bell Canada recently brought out MTS, Manitoba Telephone System. There was a public concern about monopoly, and so MTS customers were divided between Bell and TELUS. TELUS getting about a quarter of the wireless contracts, about 100,000 people. Customers didn't have a choice of which multinational corporations they were allotted to. Now, customers were given the choice to cancel their contracts at no cost, but then again, where were they going to go anyway? The prices are the same no matter what company they choose. You know, so much for choice. But unlike other corporate mergers, which were marketed to the public as a good thing, that would somehow be beneficial to them. This time there was no pretense at all of that from the ruling party of Manitoba, the ironically named Progressive Conservatives. So not only were Manitobans not promised lower prices, not even as a palatable lie, not even as a spoonful of sugar to tell that awful neoliberal medicine go down. As part of the negotiations, Bell promised to build 3 cell towers on Highway 59. That's between Winnipeg and the US border. This was almost a full year before the merger finally went through. And at the time of this announcement, Brian Pallister, the Premier of Manitoba, actually encouraged Bell, almost challenging them to raise their prices. He even referred to himself as a cheerleader attempting to distance himself from the deal. And he said it was purely a private sector deal. I did not overdo those air quotes. Remember that, I'll be coming back to that bit later. So in a CTV article which reported all this, Bell MTS says it's too early to speculate if the merger and the service upgrades will drive up rates. But Premier Brian Pallister says you get what you pay for. We've had cheaper limited service, now we get better service. I would not be surprised if the prices went up somewhat because we've been paying, frankly, some of the most cheapest prices in all of Canada. So that does beg the question. Why is it that other parts of Canada pay for their cellular services relevant to Manitoba? It is only relevant to the corporation who might want to start charging more so they can justify raising their prices. So why not compare the prices with the UK and Europe, who are paying as little as a third of what we are paying here? Well, the Premier's statement was frankly irresponsible. I mean, it shows once again that Brian Pallister has no intention of looking out for the best interests of Manitobans. But he is delirious at the prospect of corporations and the rich people that own them getting richer and richer and richer at our expense. And that's not the worst of it. The article goes on to say the Premier indicated he'd like to see Ottawa, his government, that's Manitoba, and the private sector partner on the funding needed to ensure the call service is expanded to more remote areas. Remember all of this just a few seconds ago? Here it comes. Now, Pallister said purely a private sector deal. Well, right here, he proves that that was a lie on his part, because he actually wants public money to fund the building of Bell's infrastructure. He wants to use your tax dollars to build the cell towers while encouraging Bell to increase their prices. And don't forget, this was on the same meeting, in the same article, as he said, it's all at the same time. This is not two separate things where he forgot what the other was saying. But now he's encouraging them to increase their prices, which you and I will have to pay, which they will then justify in turn because they have built the cell towers, even though we would have paid for it in the first place with our taxes. So what is the end result of all this? Well, here's what it really means right now. I've got a personal experience here that's brought this on. A couple of weeks ago, about 7 months after the merger went through, my personal cell phone died. Now, I went through MTS to get a new phone and renew my contract. I was paying about $55 a month for unlimited data via MTS. I signed up for that 2 years before. The exact plan now under MTS, or Bell MTS, went up by $15. That's $15 a month. So it went up from $55 to $70 a month. And it wasn't just the unlimited plan that went up. All plans went up by $15. Now, I'm not sure when this went up, whether it's before Bell or not. It's really irrelevant, isn't it? But the fact is that as a taxpayer, as someone, a customer, I'm now paying what was a ridiculous amount more. You anticipate a slight increase of the cost of living and all of that, but a 27% increase. That's huge. That's insane. That's 14 times the rate of inflation. I mean, this is ridiculous. And they haven't even started to work on those cell towers yet. The ones that Pallister wants you and me to pay for with our taxes. Of course, I shopped around. TELUS, Rogers, Bell Mobility, which oddly enough, they claim are not the same as Bell MTS. And all their prices are the same, to the flipping penny. So free market my arse. This isn't just an anecdote. You can check this out, all these prices out online for all providers, and you can see for yourself. Or you can just wait until you have to renew your cell phone plan. Either way, it won't hurt any less. Brian Pallister got his wish. We are paying a hell of a lot more money for a lot more of a nothing. The Progressive Conservatives of Manitoba care only about corporations and the rich people that own them. Manitobans? Well, we don't matter at all. Little green man. This is the back door to the Manitoba legislature. Now, if you hit the subscribe button now, hit the notification bell, then you won't be surprised when they try to stick something up your back door. Welcome back to Little Green Man. I've got about 2 articles I want to talk about. It's about Bell, that wonderful company that bought out MTS, and just what wonderful service practices they have. I'm going to try and, I've got like 4 pages of quotes here from these 2 articles. I won't be reading all of them. I'll try and skim through this as quickly as possible. Just proof that corporations have their own best interests at heart. Okay, so here's an article, couple of articles generated by Go Public Investigations, CBC segments. The two articles, sources are in the description. Please read them in full. You won't be surprised. I'll try and hit some of the highlights without boring you too much. So this was all started by Andrea Rizzo, who had worked for Bell for about 20 years. He said that the pressure to upsell to customers was phenomenal, and it became relentless. So they're expected to make a sale on every single call, regardless of what the call was about. That it was a toxic environment there. This is what we're hearing. That Rizzo and others who were in that same situation, employees, whether current or past employees, have been under so much stress that they just have to either go on stress leave, and some of them have actually just gone ahead and quit. I feel bad, says Rizzo. I'm not really listening to what the customer called about. I'm thinking in my head is, oh wow, this customer just said they don't want the service, it's too expensive, and I've sold a service to them that they will not know how to use or really need. So they're told by their supervisors to upsell, 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 which is really a corporate mantra, isn't it? It's make profit, 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 and you can't make a profit if you don't sell. So the more you sell, the more profit you make. And so people were calling about getting their phone lines disconnected, and they were being forced to upsell them internet and TV and any other service that might be at offer. That company may be offering. Well, you know, even to the point where Rizzo said that she says she talked a 90-year-old into signing up for internet service, knowing the woman was blind and couldn't use it. And upselling to grieving relatives who try to close an account as well. Can you think how obscene and ridiculous? I mean, can you put your mind around that? Oh, have they died? Oh, I think they need bigger pipe, internet pipe, with a pipe with more data so they can see things when they're not alive. I mean, come on, for crying out loud. This is obscenities in the name of profits. I mean, this is one of the things that jumped out in the article for me was the name of the department that that Rizzo said that she was working in. It was called the Serve to Sell department. So helping customers with billing and technical problems while expected. The staff are expected to sell them products and services. So you call for anything. Oh, we want to give you more. We want you to pay more and more and more and more. And so this isn't just a matter of one person who's a case of sour grapes. There are actually many other whistleblowers. Someone called Michael Lacaprara. I said that wrong. So apologies, Michael. Said he quit his job at Bell Scarborough's call center in 2015 after a dozen years on the job due to the pressure to hit sales targets by upselling to customers who were often angry. And they would say, I hate Bell, and I would have to try to sell them more things on top of what they had. He says he was prompted to quit after he was suspended for 3 days without pay for not selling on a call. So there has actually been a flood of Bell employees that have come forward since that article. There were some that were said that when it went on stress leave and returned to find things even worse when they came back. So one former manager said the high pressure sales tactics and employee mistreatment were common. So, and other people complained about being penalised if they let someone downgrade, if they let a downgrade go through without actually even upselling them. So they're still expected to upsell when they wanted to downgrade. There was extreme stress of trying to meet sales targets, fear of losing one's job. If you meet the stats, it's not just great, that you are actually, they were actually expected, then they would raise the stats, the goals, so that they would have to meet them. And one person that came forward said they actually sat at their desk in tears many a day. And of course they use some underhanded sales techniques. Some of them are, only underhanded when they're used to an extreme, when you push. Sort of like talk quickly, don't let the customers speak. That's a nice one. Bury the price of the products and services. Mention the price really quickly, and then jump to, we can get a technician out to you this day and at this time. And then they're coached to not talk about the low, small packages, but to sell the higher and more expensive packages, ones that we're never going to use. I mean, I guess I'm in that boat because we actually have regular television service in our package. We have internet and phone and whatever else. We don't watch regular television. We use Netflix or YouTube or whatever. We rarely ever have the regular TV on. But yeah, we're kind of expected to have it. I'm not even sure if there's a if our price, the cost of our package goes down or up. But there you go. They do this stuff. And it wasn't just a matter of the people coming forward either. It's not just employees complaining. Bell have a slew of complaints about them before they took over MTS, and they're still doing it now. I've got even some personal beefs with MTS myself, where I have phoned up, or wife rather has phoned up, has made has been told this such and such a service is on. You can get this phone for such and such a price. We go, okay, great, that's fantastic. We'll go away and think about it. We'll hang the phone up. We'll actually go to the MTS store down the road. We'll talk to someone. They say there's no such package as that. And this has happened like 2 or 3 times. But they've had slew of complaints on all of this. And it's just to show you that the Commission for Complaints for Telecom Vision Services, so the CCTS image right here somewhere, I've probably lost my hand, it shows you that there are more than 8,000 customer complaints. Bell itself had 3,000 of those complaints. I mean, you can see for yourself. This is ridiculous. Now, of course, Bell. This is what Bell has to say. They do the usual fluff. They came out a couple of times. They've responded, and on one of these cases, they said, "Bell is a trusted Canadian institution that was built a reputation for service and technology leadership with more than 23 million customers worldwide." But they didn't address any of those complaints about the negative upselling. And then someone else, and this was, I believe, by email, that the Bell replied again, not even addressing the complaint of the article itself. It says that more than 50,000 people across the country. So they serve as like, come on. It's like all they can come back to is, we've got lots of people. Yeah, and you probably got lots of people because you've conned them into staying with you. But they didn't address at all the complaints to upsell at all cost. Now, Bell is doing it. I mean, there's no doubt at all. And now upsell is the capitalist mantra. This is how they exist. It's kind of like if they don't start off that way, corporations end up becoming that way because of what they are. Now, many former and current employees have come forward. I mean, many giving their names. And there are at least 3,000 customer complaints. So there is no doubt in my mind that this absolutely is happening in the background. There's just too much information, too much data, too many people saying the same thing. Bell is guilty of this. So let me ask though, so who was responsible? Is it the employees for doing it? Well, the Nuremberg defense, I was following orders. So maybe they are. But maybe it's the team leaders who are telling the employees. Maybe it's the supervisors for telling the team leaders. Maybe it's the managers who are telling the team leaders. Or is it the executives that are demanding that they do this? I think the responsibility is completely on the shoulders of the executives. Now, are they aware that this happened? Oh, we hear this all the time. We had no idea. This happened for decades, and we had no idea, as the executive, what our staff was doing. And I'm saying that is a load of bollocks. If I can use a nice English classical word there. A load of bollocks. You can quote me on that. Because in many of the instances of the employees complaining, they were saying they were coached to do this. People would come, the coaches, and the team leaders and the supervisors presumably would come and sit with them and say, look, you've got to do this properly, you've got to do it right, here are the techniques you use, and they're coached to do this. And if they don't, they are obviously punished. And that means that if the supervisors have a standard way of approaching this and coaching their people, well, then the supervisors and team leaders are reporting to managers, and the managers are the ones that are pushing this. And the managers are only pushing this because the executives are pushing it. The executives know absolutely without doubt. And if they say they're not, they're just lying to you, lying to us. And let me say, if an executive was unaware of these practices, then how can they have suspended people without pay, without HR knowing it, and without an executive approving that suspension? It doesn't happen. It is a lie. So one of the Bell team said, well, they can make complaints if things are going awry. They've got an internal complaints issue. That is they can go through the intranet by email or phone, and they can do so through a third-party governance agency if they choose. It's all confidential. Email. Your email address is in there, isn't it? Particularly if they do it internally, and if they phone internally, I don't know I'm in IT. I don't know how to block my caller ID on my phone for an internal call. So they're going to know it's me on the phone. And intranets. Now, I've actually been involved in the past with intranet forms. You fill them out and they go on, they say it's confidential, but it's not. The IP address of the machine you log into is actually in some of the log files. That's how the information gets there. It's all there if they want to go and look for it. So to feel that that is safe and that is secure and it is confidential, you cannot trust it at all, that the people who are dealing with those calls will not use that information somehow to get at the employee. So it's laughable. Confidential, my insert expletive. Now, employees can make a legal claim against an employer. Of course they can. There's something called constructive dismissal. You've been forced out of a job. You've been pushed into a position where you just cannot cope, and being forced out of your position. You can do that. But here we go. People don't do that. People don't do it because for several reasons. One thing is they don't know how to. How do you get a lawyer? Do you need a lawyer? Is there another body to do this? I mean, how do you pay for it? I mean, you've just lost your job, whether you walked out or not. And if you did walk out and the employer says, no, we didn't do anything wrong, then you don't get your EI. You don't get any money. So how do you pay for it? And in the end, if you do push forward and you have to hire a lawyer, if that's the route you have to take, then how do you pay for your lawyer if you lose? What if? And probably the biggest thing from all of this is how do you prove it? You know, it's really, really difficult to prove. So, of course, this whole idea that a big bullying multinational can move forward and do this kind of things with impunity is absolutely insane. To think that you can go up to them on your own, it just can't happen. It just cannot. So what should we expect to happen to Bell then? They've apologized, have they? Not yet. Will they apologize? And if they do, are they culpable? Are there any laws that we can be used to punish them? Well, how about a fine? I should back up a little bit. The head of CARP, the Canadian Association for Retired Persons, the country's largest actuary group for people over 50, is demanding a public apology to Bell. Say, apology? They can stick that apology up their backside. No. How about a fine? And not just a fine to recoup the money that they made on this, which is almost seems to be always what happens to corporations. They only get fined the money that they made. There's nothing extra. How about that we estimate the money that they made, and we estimate the money that they would have continued to make on this in the future, so we can project what they made, and then we can project into the future several years, how much money would they have made. And then we can then times that by a number, let's say 100 times. Let's really hurt those SOBs doing this, and they're doing this underhandedly, and they're just being absolutely nasty in a virtual monopoly where you have no choice to go anywhere but either them or to the other companies that also have a big slew of complaints as well. Not as much as Bell, but still, I mean, look at that graph. The graphic, I'll put the graphic up here again. You can see it's not just Bell. They're just the worst. Excuse me. So, of course, in the end, nothing's really going to happen. The employees will continue to be pushed. Maybe it won't be pushed as hard for a little while. Customers will have few, if any, options because the free market's a big load of BS anyway, with all these virtual monopolies. the Bell may be fined, but so what won't be enough for them to stop. Bell will learn nothing from this whatsoever because there will be no consequences to it. Their profits will continue to soar along with their prices, which has already ridiculously bumped up their overpriced services. This is the back door to the Manitoba legislature. Now, if you hit the subscribe button now, hit the notification bell, then you won't be surprised when they try to stick something up your back door. Hi, my name's Mark Stowler. Welcome back to Little Green Man. Going to be talking about inflation and how it doesn't affect everybody the same at all. When prices go up, inflation raises, and then there's this consumer price index that determines what that was in the past. You can't tell what inflation is going to be. You can guess what it's going to be, but you can only tell in the past how much prices went up by, and over a general spectrum of things that you would buy. Now, the Winnipeg City Council just approved a budget. They approved a budget 11-5 in favour to raise the bus fare by 25 cents per trip. They also, in that same budget, they increased the parking meters downtown by $1.50 an hour, for crying out loud. That's insane. At the same time, giving businesses a 1.1% tax cut. You know, I've ranted on this before, and I'll probably rant on this again. So all of this, businesses get a 1.1% tax cut. The people that have cars and that can work downtown, the people that have cars and will shop downtown, come down, are going to be now taxed an extra $1.50 an hour, effectively, to park at meters. And of course, the people that work downtown, that park in the parkades down there, are no doubt going to get, in the next year or two, their prices are going to go up to match the meters, because now the city has set the baseline. Everybody now has to meet that. It's going to go up. How much by is another issue. So inflation has gone up. It's set to be about 2% for the past year. It usually hovers around 1.5–2%, give or take. It might be a little higher. But whatever the inflation is for me and you, just regular Manitobans, regular people that drive to work, that can afford a car, that you've got a mortgage on a house. You're not the working poor. You're not making minimum wage, and only minimum wage. Now, for those people, the inflation may go up for 2% for us, but for those people on minimum wage that work downtown and that have to bus downtown, it actually goes up significantly for them. And I'm just going to demonstrate that very quickly. So with the 25 cents increase on a bus trip, I'm going to assume, we're going to make an assumption now, that the people who are making minimum wage in this example go to work and back downtown. They go one trip to work, one trip back every day for 5 days. One day they'll take a trip somewhere and back again. You know, go shopping, go see friends, whatever. That could be as much as 7 trips. But either way, let's say 6, it's a good round number, and we'll assume that they don't have the finances to pay the $100 or so a month for a bus pass. We'll talk about that, and I'll show you the differences with the bus pass as well. But going forward, so that means $3 every week, which will then translate into about $13 per month. Actually, it's $156 a year divided by 12 is about 13. You can do the math there. If I've done something wrong, you can figure it out. So about $156 a month, a year. Doesn't sound like much. Okay, it doesn't sound like much, but that is effectively, it's gone up by the price of a full month's travel, if you want to think of it that way. So someone now has to pay an extra month's worth of traveling. Now, what that means by inflation rates to a person working 40 hours a week on minimum wage, $11.15. Okay, they will be making, making approximately, I think it was $23,000 or so, assuming an 18% income taxes and payroll taxes and whatever. They'll be taking home approximately $19,000 a year. Now, $156 actually means, $156 is actually 0.082% of their take-home pay. That's almost 1 full percent. So you and I and other people might be paying 2% more for inflation for them, but for the working poor, it's gone up for almost 3%. So that's almost an entire percentage point paying more than 50% more on inflation than we are likely to. So that's 3% to them, almost 3% for them, 2% for us. Is an incredible burden on them. Think about that, 1.82% on their take-home pay. This isn't, the taxes have already been taken. So this take-home pay includes money that they would spend on food, on housing, transport, obviously, and any of the other necessities that they need to live and survive has gone up by 1%. Now, if they are able to buy a bus pass, which is $100, be about $100 a month, $100.10, I believe it is, still comes down to 6.3% of their take-home pay. And I'll back up just a little bit, I think I jumped a little ahead there, but if we put the bus fare itself, $2.95 is what it will be, or is going to be, with the 25% increase. That actually works out to be 9.68% of their take-home pay, almost 10% of their take-home pay. So buying a bus pass only takes it down to 6.3%, but that's a massive amount of money that they have to spend on taking a bus. 1% inflation is too much for businesses, it's too much for the country, but apparently, according to the wondrous mayor, 1% increase in inflation over and above inflation as it already is good enough for the working poor. Little green man. This is the back door to the Manitoba legislature. Now, if you hit the subscribe button now, hit the notification bell, then you won't be surprised when they try to stick something up your back door. If things stay the same, what do we have to look forward to? Well, tax cuts for businesses, those are great. Tax cuts for corporations and the rich people that own them, that's fantastic too. Yet the only cuts we see, the real working people of Manitoba, it's not our taxes, is it? The provincial government is piling up cuts to our healthcare. We have that to look forward to, including paramedics, ambulance services, and so on. The progressive Conservatives are making loud noises about privatising our schools. Well, while in the city of Winnipeg we have bus fare hikes, parking fee hikes. Why? Well, because the neoliberals that are currently in charge, well, they have to find a way to pay for those tax cuts somehow, don't they? Still, this is just another leap towards the corporatisation of our province. Presumably, so we need to catch up with the United States and Europe. Look at Churchill, Manitoba, cut off because of soulless corporations and apathetic provincial and federal leaders. So what can we do? You can vote. Sorry, yeah, you can vote. Which really decides just who your dictator is for the next 4 years. And then once they're in, it's really hard. Actually, it's impossible to get them out, at least until the next election. Now, I don't have a replacement for the party political system in mind, although I am open to ideas. Reforming is the only real option we have. Now, we obviously need robust laws that a simple government majority cannot wipe out because of ideological whims, and damn the people that it hurts. So, how do we get lasting reform? Well, stand up. Say your piece. Say it loud, but don't leave it at that. Take action. And when there is change, don't stop. Never stop. Keep the people in charge in check. Hold them accountable. Activate. Get involved. There are many groups you can join. Many good causes to promote, protests you can attend, and action you can take. We still need to work within the party system. So why not get involved in your political party of choice? In this system, one voice can't really make a difference. But together, that's where those who are our dictators for the next 4 years start considering us. Well, they watch what we're doing because they know they won't be elected again if they don't. So together we can change our lives. We can change the province. And perhaps in some small way we can change the world. But let me leave you with one word. Goyagi! Get off your arse. Get involved. little green man. Hey, before you leave, don't forget to click the subscribe button and click the little notification icon-y thing at the bottom, because you don't want to miss out on what these guys are going to do to you next week.